नमस्कार मैडम, हमें आपसे कोई बात नहीं करनी है। मैडम, आप तो कितनी छोटी हो और आप तो कॉर्पोरेट में काम करती हो। आपको गवर्नमेंट फंक्शनिंग के बारे में क्या मालूम है मैडम? आप अपने साहब को बुलाइए, हम आपसे कोई बात नहीं करेंगे। These are the harsh words of 30 senior officials, very experienced and learned in their respective fields, to a young woman in her early 40s. And that young woman was me. It all started 20 years ago. I was holidaying in Ajmer with my family when my boss called up and requested me to come down to Ahmedabad immediately. Our corporate, where I was working as at a managerial level, had signed a project with the government of Gujarat for training 35,000 officials and employees at Sachivalaya, their headquarters in Gandhinagar. And the present project manager had resigned. And my boss wanted me to step in and take the charge immediately. Now, this was a human resource training program on attitudinal and behavioral change. And it was a very dear project of our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Bhai Modi, who was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Each batch would be of 30 participants to be trained for 4 days, 20 hours in total. So we had to do multiple batches to finish the training for 35,000 people. I was involved in the project when I had done a lot of focus group discussions with the government officials for developing the content and building the training modules of this program. Super thrilled to be heading such a prestigious project, though I was pushed into this position suddenly. So with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, I walked into Sachivalaya the next day to a room full of 30 senior officials, and I greeted them with a lot of warmth. But to my utter dismay and disbelief, they just looked through me. There was no response. A stony silence engulfed the room. And as I started to speak, they banged their participants' manual on the desk and said, "Madam, हमें आपसे कोई बात नहीं करनी है. आप अपने साहब को बुलाइए." Their protests were repetitive, continuous, and very strong. They would not let me speak. They would not allow me to speak. The intensity of the protests felt like the protests during the Quit India movement. Shocked and nervous as I was, sweat trickling down my legs and my knees quivering, in disbelief, are these the same officials with whom I had done focus group discussions? They were so cooperative then. In a dilemma, whether to call my boss or not. The inner voice in me said, "Hey, Anita Shah, you cannot quit. You are the daughter of a strong mother, a daughter-in-law of an equally strong woman, and a mother to 2 impressionable young girls. Tap into your potential, unleash your strengths, and rise to the challenge." That's exactly what I did. It was the very first batch of the entire training program, and I definitely could not afford to quit. So I started, in spite of their repeated protests, I started my training program, sharing stories about the problems and challenges that they had faced, about their success stories, how with theirs and their colleagues' courage and wisdom, they had worked in the interest of the people and improved the functioning of the government. but it was all falling on deaf ears. It was a sheer, complete monologue. Gradually, the protests were silenced and they started responding. A dialogue ensued. What a relief. The ice was broken. On the last day, they all came forward with folded hands and said, "Madam, आप तो बड़ी हिम्मत वाली हो। हमने आपको इतना परेशान किया, पर आप तो अपने काम में डटी रही। और मैडम, आपने जो सब बातें कहानियां के रूप में बताई, वो हमारे दिल को छू गई। It stirred our emotions, it touched our hearts and kept us engaged." Happy and humbled with their response, a quick idea flashed in my mind: the power and magic of storytelling. I'm super thrilled to share and with pride that post the positive feedback, we completed training of 2.25 lakh employees of the government of Gujarat, which included 70,000 police personnel, across the 25 districts in a span of 2.5 years. This has so far been the largest human resource training mandate on this side of the globe. The values of courage that I have been brought up with gave me the strength to rise to the challenge and move on. 60 years ago, my mother, at a tender age of 19, called off her engagement to the son of a highly influential political family to marry the man of her dreams, much against the wishes of her parents and family. Imagine 65 years ago, when women did not even have the freedom to raise their voice, she was determined to live life her own way. 50 years ago, my mother-in-law became a young widow in her early 40s, with a family of 6 children to raise, my husband being the youngest at 10. She single-handedly encountered all the odds and raised a happy and well-settled family. In spite of the social stigma and the challenges she encountered, she has always encouraged me to pursue my passion. I admire and take inspiration from these women. The challenge that I faced brought out my potential as a storyteller. Had I quit, I would have never realized my potential. So in gratitude to my very first batch of the participants, my potential is my passion and now my profession. So in my initiative, Bageecha the Outdoors, I share and teach storytelling to kids, parents, educators, and professionals. And though this being the most ancient form of communication, it has yet to get its due acceptance and recognition in our society. पर मैं डटी रही हूँ. Women, what we have in us all to achieve greatness is our grit and determination, the trust and belief in ourselves to rise to the challenges and realize our dreams. And I would like to end this with one of my favorite lines. As far as there is breath in your body, it's never too late to change your story. Yeah, thank you all. And thank you, Team LAJA, for this amazing platform and opportunity. Grateful to all.